Okay, so we're live. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today we're having Mr. Jane. I know Mr. Jane for a while now. I'm really grateful that this was made possible. So Mr. James talking about careers and welcome our speaker, Mr. James. Mr. James, you're welcome, sir.
All right. Thank you for having me, Miracle. Thank you for having me. Like Miracle said, my name is Gene. We've known each other for a little bit now. Today I'll be talking about the transitioning of careers. So just a little bit of background. Like I said, my name is Gene. I transitioned from being a teacher into software engineering, and now I work for one of the agencies of our government. The transition was a fairly good one. After doing my research and then going about what I needed to do, it was exactly what I imagined it would be. So I guess to get started on the path of changing your career and pivoting your career, the first thing you want to do is identify what is it that you want to do. Right. So if you want to work with your hands, do you want to use the mental knowledge that you have? Do you want to be helping people? What is it exactly that you want to do? And then after you identify what it is that you want to do, you want to try to get an example of what that is, right? So let's say you want to be a firefighter. Okay. So you don't just, oh, I'm going to be a firefighter and then that's it. That sounds great, but ideally you want to go meet with a firefighter. Hey, I'm thinking about becoming a firefighter. What is it like? What is the everyday process of being a firefighter? What is the weekly process? Whatever the monthly process? What do I have to do to get here? And what do I have to do to stay here? So it's not just a get in there and then that's it. It's a get in there and also maintaining that spot, or even elevating yourself even higher. So you meet with the firefighter and you may even shadow them for a day or two, maybe even a week, where every day instead of going to work, or even one day instead of going to work, you use PTO or you call off or whatever, and you go in with that firefighter. Hey, can I shadow you for a day? And most likely they're gonna say yes, right? So because they are excited about you being interested in their field, so they want you to see what life is about. So you go and shadow them, and now you can see the day-to-day process of being a firefighter. It's not just imaginary in your head and like daydreaming, oh yeah, it's gonna be this, and then you get there, it's not that. No, now you see exactly what it is, right? So one example of this I have is when I was a teacher, I thought about being a cop. So when I wanted to be a cop, when I thought about being a cop for a small second, I was like, I don't know about that. So I went in and I did a ride along, they call it, with the police. And then it was a late shift. It was from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it's 12 hours. So I was riding in the car with that cop the entire 12 hours. I got to the station, we got in the car, and we were moving. We were going. And then I was able to ask him multiple questions. And then we were able to do multiple stops. I saw how they lived in the car. I saw how when their eating time was, or their break, which is not really a break, because if something happens in the middle of them eating, they have to leave and drop everything and go, right? So there was a disturbance call. I got to that call, and it was very heavy, very, very heavy, what the call was. And I thought to myself, man, this is heartbreaking. I don't want to see this on a daily manner, not even a weekly manner, because it was so heavy. Not that I want to shield myself from what's happening in the world and around my community, but I just thought to myself, this is not what I want to experience every day. I believe for me, it would make me very sad. So I decided this is not it for me. But had I not gone and shadowed that cop, I would not realize that. In my head, it would just be dreams and things I imagined. And then when I get there, it would be too late, because I already spent the time, the money and everything to get the education to get there, but now it's not really what I wanted because I imagined it all, you know. So that's a huge part of doing the pivoting. So no, first you want to identify what it is that you want to do. Second, you want to get the experience, and by experience I mean you want to shadow somebody and talk to somebody who's already doing what it is that you are looking to do. Third, what you want to do is you want to find out what is it that you need to get there, right? So do you need to go to school? Do you need to get a certification? Do you need to get just experience? What is it that you need to get to that point that you want to be? If it's education, then you know, okay, it's education. I need to go to such and such school, or it's going to take me X amount of years to get there because it's education. Or if it's a certification, you look up the certifications. There are certifications that are 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and then you are there. Or if it's experience, you can literally get the experience by doing stuff around your home or around for your community. That experience is not professional experience, but it is experience nonetheless. So getting that experience and knowing what you need to do. So identify, speak to somebody who's already in the field, get to know what you need to do to get there, and do what it is that you need to get there. And once you get into that chair, once you get into that position or into that career field that you aspire to be, you want to make sure you are constantly keeping yourself afresh with what's going on in the field. And it's not just, oh, I'm here and then I can just relax. You want to get there and you want to constantly be improving yourself, constantly bettering yourself, talking to people who's been in the field longer than you. Hey, I'm new to the field. I noticed that you've been here for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it may be. And then you want to talk to that person, maybe asking them to be a mentor or of some sort. Because when you have somebody who has the experience and the knowledge more than you have, and they're pouring into you, in turn, that's going to help you to be better. It's going to help you to have more knowledge and more know-how of your career field. So identifying what you need to, what you want to do. So if it's helping people, if it's working with your hands, if it's using your intellect, whatever it is that you are into, right? And then second, you want to shadow somebody in that position. Whoever it is, that person may have been there for a year, 5 years, 10 years, however long, just somebody who's already in the field, right? Because you're not there yet. Everything is just in your head what you imagine it would be. And sometimes in life, what we imagine is not what real life is, right? Um, Third, you want to know what it is that you need to do to get there, what it is that you need to do to attain that vision. Like I said, is it education? Is it a certificate? Is it experience? What is it that you need? And then you want to constantly be improving yourself once you get there. So my experience from going from a teacher into software engineering is um, I was teaching and I decided, man, I don't want to do this forever. I was thinking between software engineering or accounting. Okay. So software engineering, I did the research on that and then I did research on accounting. I'm like, okay, that's great. Okay, accounting, I like to help people and with their finances. I like to do the numbers and everything. I'm like, okay, yeah, I could do that. And then I'm like, software engineering, I like to use my brain to solve issues and solve problems. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, I mean, this is two amazing fields that I could potentially be in, but I can't do both. I mean, if I do, it'll have to be one at this point and one at this other point. But I can't do both at the same time. So what I did was I called somebody I knew who was in the field, and we had a conversation for hours and hours. I think we had like a 3 to 4 hour conversation of me just asking him questions, and he's giving me answers, and he's giving me ideas or links, stuff to look up, very detailed information as to what I would need to know and want to know about being a software engineer. So after that conversation, it was settled. I was like, okay, I'm going to become a software engineer. So like I said, one, I identified what I wanted. Two, I went and spoke to somebody about what it is to be in that field, what it's like on an everyday process, what it's like to live that life in that field, in that career. Third, I went and I got the education that I needed. In my case, I decided to go the college route, but nowadays YouTube is a whole university. You can go on YouTube and learn just about anything. You can also go on Code Academy, these different websites that teach you how to code and all these different things. But I decided that for me, the path for me was to go to school. So as I was teaching, I was in a transitioning process. Okay. So I was teaching, I was going to work every day, teachers 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to work, and I'm getting home and I'm sitting at the computer for hours just typing away because I'm coding and doing my homework and doing research on different programs and everything. So that's a whole 2 year process. So I started in 2020, I think it was. Yeah. So 2020, August. And I was in school all the way till literally the first week of 2022. I did not take any breaks. I went every semester during the summer, spring, fall. I went every semester because I wanted to get here as soon as I could possibly. And then that's how it ended up working out. And then in the process of coming towards latter end of the transition, I started to apply to multiple different jobs in the software engineer field, multiple different jobs. It's insane how many jobs I actually applied to, but thankfully I was able to land an interview with one of our government agencies here in the United States, and thank God I was able to land a job. But then again, I did have another interview with a different company, but I just decided to go with this one. Um, and it's been great. I've been there since 2022. It's 2024 now. Been working there for almost 2 years, coming up on September. Um, and the transition for me, I believe, has been exactly what I thought it would be. Being in that field, what I'm doing on the daily basis, working with the computers and solving issues and solving problems that arise or coming up with solutions that make to potential issues and helping other users who are using the software that we are putting out there. All that stuff is great. So it's not necessarily just getting there also, because every day I have to ask questions to make sure I better myself. Every day I'm asking, how can I be better? How can I do better? And then there's people who have been on the field longer than I have. So for me, it's, hey, how do you do this? Oh my gosh, okay, I would have never thought to do it that way. So now, instead of knowing how to do this specific thing just this one way, I can now have two, three, four different ways to do it. So, and it's not because I stuck to myself. Oh no, I'm going to keep my knowledge to myself. I don't need help from anybody. No, it's always better to have a group of people, especially people who have been there longer than you, more experienced than you, and pulling on their knowledge, pulling on their experience, because at the end of the day, that's making you better. And in turn, one day that will be you in that position being asked the questions by somebody who is newer on that field, or you could be that person that somebody comes in shadow, or somebody's making a phone call to ask about the field that you in for multiple hours, asking you questions and talking about the field and everything, and you could be that person that in turn helps somebody else. So it's not getting there in this, oh, I'm gonna keep it to myself. It's getting there and also knowing that it's your turn now to help somebody else. So if somebody wants to make that transition themselves and they come to you asking questions, be open, be willing to answer the questions, be willing to give them some information that they are looking for. And if somebody's coming to shadow you, as long as it's okay with your job, then you can say, hey, to your bosses, I have so and so who would like to come and shadow because they are thinking about making a transition to the group to this field. Would it be okay if I bring them for this day? And most likely they will, depending on the job, on the company and what it is that they actually are doing. It's most likely going to be a yes. And you go in and you let that person shadow you. That's you returning what was done for you months, years ago, you know? And then as you're in that field, when the new people come, you can also be somebody who's answering questions for them and also being humble about it, staying humble, not know, thinking, oh, I know everything. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how long you've been in the field. Knowing everything in that field is very, as for my particular field, I can say that's not even possible. There's so much going on for you to know everything. It's insane. Like it's just insane. Okay, so just to recap, you want to figure out what it is that you want to do, whether it's helping people, working with your hands, or even using your intellect, stuff like that. Just figuring out what it is that you want to do. Second, you want to gather information, whether it's by shadowing somebody or calling somebody and asking them questions on what this is about, on what it's like to live in that field. And third, you want to get the education that you need, whether it's experience, whether it's knowledge, whether it's education or certificate, whatever it is, you want to do that action to get there. And then fourth, sorry, when you get there, you want to make sure you are constantly improving yourself and constantly getting better and better. So that way you can always be at the top of your game, at the top of your field, and knowing how to do the job the proper way. And that's basically what it takes to pivot your career.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Jane. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So about the camera and all that. So the question I want to ask, and I believe a lot of young people want to ask the same question is, looking at your field, it's more technical. So
Yeah.
make mention of knowing, identifying what you really want. You identify what you really want. Are there qualities as individuals that and you have in order to get into a field? So, for example, like I'm not too much of a tech person, but I'm very good at working. But at the same time, the field where I want to work, where I want to go into, requires that I'm a tech person. I am very good with numbers. I'm very good with maths, but I'm not good. Now, how should an individual handle such a situation in such a time like that? How should an individual handle such a situation? Should they change their field, or do you think that they should really, really hard to get it? And if it's not working, they should keep trying. What advice would you give to young people like that?
Oh man, that's such a good question, Miracle. Oh man, such a good question. Honestly, my answer to that is the human brain it's such an amazing thing. It is such an amazing thing. You'd be surprised how good you are at certain things that you might have thought you were bad at, or maybe you know that you're bad at math. You know, but the thing is, the human brain is something that's evolving. And so the more experience, the more knowledge you get at a certain thing, the better and better you are at that thing. So if you dedicated yourself, let's say you're bad at math. If you dedicated yourself 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour a day to working on math and not beating yourself down, oh, I'm so stupid, oh, I'm so dumb, I can't get this. No, 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 no. It's the trial that will get you there. Man, this is difficult, but I know I can do this. Man, this is hard, but I know I can do this. I will do this. I am going to get there. And you'd be surprised. You look back a year after being consistently doing that, you'd be surprised of how much better you've gotten at math. It's not really that you were born knowing or having these specific skills. Like it's not that. What skills you have now, some of them are yes, you naturally have these skills, but other skills that you have, you had to learn, right? So like an example is a baby. Babies don't come out the womb walking, you know. This is a skill that they have to develop. This is a skill that they have to learn. They watch us adults and people walking around. They're like, huh, I want to do that. I want to do what they're doing, right? So then you put them on their back, they're rolling over, and then they're crawling, and then they're holding onto stuff to get somewhere. and then before you know it, they're walking, and then they're jogging, and then they're running, and then they're walking. So it's not a, can I do this because I suck at it? It's how much time am I willing to put into it to get better at it? And that's what I would say.
Wow. So how much time to put into to get better at it? Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. And another question I think I would want to ask is, compared to the US, it's quite different from in Africa as Africans. And then but somehow you're linked to black lineage. So now to transit to a new job, were there challenges that you experienced, and how were you able to actually, go around it, especially difficult to get a job? And what mindsets were you cultivating during those difficult times of your life where probably, let's say, you needed money to take care of yourself at this certain point in life and it wasn't coming? What mindsets were you cultivating during those moments of your life?
Oh man, so such a good question. Difficulties. I ran into multiple difficulties. For me, if I need help in something, if I'm not good at something, and I know this is what I want to do, the first roadblock I get, oh, this is hard, I'm not quitting. Like I just don't know how to quit, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I would go to tutoring. Like 3-4 times a week. I would get tutoring on certain coding languages like Java or Python. I would get tutoring on those things to better myself. I wasn't going to stick in the corner by myself. No, I gotta know how to do this by myself. No, you get help. If you need help, if you are struggling with something, get the help that you need. Because at the end of the day, when you get into the industry of coding, it's not going to be you working on a thing by yourself. It's going to be you working with a team of people on solutions and problems and coding something, right? And I would imagine it's the same for almost every field. So get help that you need. Get the help that you need. Like I said, when I ran into issues, when I ran into problems, I would go to tutoring. I would schedule my tutoring times and I would go. I would schedule my tutoring times and I would go. I would just go. And another roadblock is it became very self-defeating towards the end when I was applying for hundreds of jobs and sending hundreds of applications and not getting any callbacks or any interviews. It was hard. I would talk to my wife and she would constantly tell me, "Hey babe, like you've been doing this and you're good. I've seen the stuff that you've written and it looks like the Matrix when I look at the computer, but you understand it. So listen, you got this." And we are people of faith. So we prayed and we prayed. And there were moments where I would feel down, like, man, why am I not getting interviews? And then I'm like, no, I'm gonna get interviews. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. So that challenge for me was the hardest because I had to constantly tell myself, you are good at what you do. You know your stuff. And you have to be determined. You have to let yourself know, hey, this is not a you thing. It's going to take some time because there's people in the field who's been there longer who are also applying to the same jobs. So it's okay.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Jane, for this. I feel like that's really was an honest response. So we have a few minutes to go. So the question I want to ask now is, what is the influence of your faith in your success? So you'll be able to balance between your works and then the influence of your faith in your success. Were you all about, I can do it and can only do it, I have to put in the work at all? Or are you able to mix your faith and your faith has influence? Or are you able to balance both of them? What's the influence of your faith in your success so far?
Oh man, I really do believe my faith has a lot to do with it. There were times I would reach issues and problems, and I would tell myself, okay, try to do it, try to solve it before you go to tutoring. Okay, so you won't be asking questions about it. Like, let's try to get this. Can you actually do this by yourself? And sometimes I would like, God, can you please? And I'm literally like, honestly, just praying, God, please help me with this problem. Please help me with this solution. Please help me to come up with the line of codes that I need to solve this issue. And believe it or not, like literally, like after I pray, it's something just would just click. It It's like I've been staring at this code for hours, and then after I pray, it's just clicking. It's like, oh, here's a solution, and I'm like, I'm typing it away, and it's like, it's and it works, you know. So I do believe my faith in God has played a huge role in this whole transitioning of my career field. Some people might say it doesn't play a role for them, but for me, I know it did, and I know without God's help, I don't even know if I would have been able to finish my schooling to get here, because it was very challenging.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jane. Thank you so much. Two last questions, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah.
So the first question is this: in your life so far, you've had to deal with people. You've gone instead of people. What would you say leadership is? In few words, you've discovered leadership is.
Oh man, leadership is a huge thing. Oh my goodness. Some people might think as a leader, as somebody who's like up there and they're untouchable, and it's like you can't really approach them, and they tell you what to do and you do it. For me, that's not a leader. So my team lead on the team that I'm in at my job is so personable, so like he's so inviting, you know. And he leads by example. What I mean by that is, when he tells you, hey, this is what we're looking to do, blah, 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 he'll give you an example and he'll do it for you. The first two things, that he will ask you multiple questions. Hey, do you understand it? Do you need help? How can I help? Do you need any more information? Do you need any more leads on what you need to do? Like, is there anything I can do to help better this experience, to help better this action that we are doing? So for me, a leader is not a, hey, do. A leader is going to be somebody who leads by example, somebody who's going to be very approachable, somebody who's going to be very knowledgeable on what they're doing, and somebody who's going to be honest and when they don't know something. Because some leaders will pretend like they know everything, and they don't, but real leaders will let you know, hey, we need to do this, and I honestly don't know how to do it. Can you help me figure this out? You know, that's a leader. Can you help me figure this out?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Last question I'm going to ask you is this, is what advice would you give to young? It doesn't have to be young people, but what advice would you give to people? Something you want people to know that you've discovered over the years. And let me put it this way: something you've learned, and you want people to understand insight into life. What you just actually go home with after this section?
Oh man, such a good question. So many things. So many things to say. Okay.
Then think about
okay.
something that you felt like.
Okay. Gosh. Okay. Honestly, okay. So I would say always be in the mindset of there's always something I can learn. Never think to yourself, I know it all. Never think to yourself, I can do this by myself. Even if you can, always be willing to have somebody alongside you. Because at the end of the day, there's something you can always learn, always. And always be willing to ask questions. Always be willing to hear feedback on how to do better, how to get better. Always.
Wow. Thank you so much. So always have the mindset that there is something you can always learn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. J. I'm really grateful. Really grateful. So to our viewers on Facebook and YouTube, I want to say thank you guys for joining. And also want to say to Jane for honoring this invitation. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.